Dr. Walter Stöbe stands at the weather station in Brest, studying barometric readings that make no sense for early June in the English Channel. It's June 3rd, 1944, and the meteorological data streaming in from weather ships, coastal stations, and reconnaissance flights suggests atmospheric conditions that German forecasting models didn't predict. A massive low-pressure system dominates the Atlantic, bringing storms that should make amphibious operations impossible for weeks. Stöbe has been forecasting weather for the Wehrmacht since 1940, understands Atlantic weather patterns, knows the meteorological requirements for large-scale amphibious operations. The current conditions are perfect for German defensive preparations and terrible for Allied invasion attempts. No competent military commander would launch major amphibious operations in such weather, but something troubles Stöbe about the atmospheric data. The storm system shows signs of rapid movement, unusual intensity variations, pressure changes that suggest the weather pattern might be more temporary than initial analysis indicated. If the low-pressure system moves faster than predicted, if the storm front passes more quickly than calculated, conditions might improve dramatically within 24 to 48 hours. Oberst Professor Walter Georgi, chief meteorologist for the Luftwaffe, receives Stöbe's preliminary weather assessment at his headquarters in Paris. Georgi is Germany's leading military meteorologist, trained in atmospheric physics, experienced in long-range weather prediction. His forecasts guide German military operations throughout occupied Europe. The weather data from the Atlantic presents Georgi with a complex forecasting challenge. Current conditions absolutely preclude major amphibious operations. Winds exceed 25 knots, wave heights reach 6 feet, cloud cover prevents air operations. No rational military commander would attempt invasion under such conditions, but Georgi's analysis reveals disturbing possibilities. The storm system shows characteristics that suggest rapid passage, quick clearing, dramatic improvement in conditions. If the meteorological models are accurate, the weather window that currently favors Germany might close within 48 hours, replaced by conditions that favor Allied operations. Georgi studies the pressure charts, analyzes the wind patterns, calculates the storm track. The mathematics are complex, the variables numerous, the margin for error significant. Weather prediction in 1944 lacks the sophisticated tools that modern meteorology employs. Forecasting depends on limited data, simplified models, educated guesswork. The preliminary forecast suggests the storm will pass quickly, followed by a brief period of improved conditions before the next weather system arrives. The improved conditions might last 24 to 36 hours, providing a narrow window for major military operations. The window would be brief, risky, requiring precise timing and considerable courage. Group Captain James Stagg, chief meteorologist for the Allied invasion forces, faces the same meteorological data from the opposite perspective. Stagg understands that Operation Overlord requires specific weather conditions, moderate winds, manageable wave heights, adequate visibility for air operations, sufficient cloud cover to conceal the invasion fleet during approach. Current conditions fail every requirement for successful amphibious operations. The storm system dominates the English Channel, creating conditions that would devastate landing craft, prevent air support, expose invasion forces to German defensive fire. Eisenhower has already postponed the invasion, once due to weather concerns. But Stagg's analysis, like Georgi's, reveals the possibility of rapid improvement. The storm system shows signs of accelerated movement, suggesting conditions might improve dramatically by June 6th. The improvement would be temporary, lasting perhaps 36 hours before deteriorating again, but sufficient for invasion operations if Allied forces can exploit the narrow window. Stagg's forecast team includes meteorologists from Britain, America, and Canada, representing different forecasting traditions and analytical methods. The team debates the storm track, argues about pressure gradients, disputes the timing of weather changes. Consensus proves difficult when the stakes are so high. Dr. Sverre Pettersen, Norwegian meteorologist working with the Allied team, provides crucial analysis of the storm system's behavior. Pettersen understands North Atlantic weather patterns, has studied similar storm systems, recognizes the meteorological signatures that indicate rapid weather changes. The storm will move faster than initial predictions suggested, Peterson tells Stagg's team. The pressure gradient indicates accelerated movement. The system should clear the channel by early June 6th, providing a brief window of improved conditions before the next front arrives. Peterson's analysis proves decisive. His expertise in Atlantic meteorology, combined with detailed pressure data, suggests the weather window will open precisely when Allied forces need it most. The forecast requires courage to accept, precision to exploit, perfect timing to succeed. Meanwhile, German meteorologists struggle with limited data and inadequate resources. The German Weather Service lacks the extensive Atlantic observation network that Allied meteorologists employ. German weather ships have been sunk or driven from their stations. German reconnaissance flights provide limited atmospheric data. Dr. Karl Sönning, meteorologist at the German Naval Weather Service in Wilhelmshaven, analyzes the available data with growing concern. The atmospheric patterns suggest possible rapid changes, but German forecasting models lack the precision to predict exact timing. The uncertainty creates strategic vulnerability. If the weather improves suddenly, Sönning realizes, Allied forces might exploit the change before German defenses can adjust. German coastal artillery depends on clear visibility for accurate fire. German air forces require adequate weather for defensive operations. German naval units need advance warning to position effectively. Rapid weather changes favor the attacker over the defender when the defender lacks accurate forecasting. Allied forces can time their operations to exploit favorable conditions. German forces must react to Allied timing without advanced knowledge of weather windows. Sönning requests additional meteorological resources, more weather reconnaissance, improved forecasting models. But German resources are stretched thin, priorities lie elsewhere, meteorological services receive limited support. German weather forecasting operates with inadequate data and insufficient analysis. June 4, 1944. The storm system continues to dominate the English Channel, but German meteorologists begin to detect signs of change. Pressure readings show gradual improvement. Wind patterns suggest shifting conditions. Atmospheric data indicates the storm might be weakening faster than predicted. Dr. Stöbe updates his forecast, noting the possibility of rapid improvement but emphasizing the uncertainty inherent in such predictions. Weather forecasting in 1944 cannot provide the precision that military operations require. Meteorologists can identify trends, suggest possibilities, estimate probabilities, but cannot guarantee specific conditions at specific times. The uncertainty troubles German military commanders who depend on weather forecasts for defensive planning. Feldmarschall Erwin Rommel, commanding Army Group B, needs accurate weather information to position his reserves, coordinate his defenses, time his counterattacks. If the weather improves suddenly, Rommel understands Allied invasion becomes possible with little advance warning. German defensive doctrine assumes adequate time to detect invasion preparations, position forces, coordinate responses. Rapid weather changes eliminate that time, force German forces to react rather than prepare. Rommel requests detailed weather briefings, studies meteorological reports, consults with German forecasters. But German meteorologists cannot provide the certainty that defensive planning requires. Weather prediction remains more art than science, more estimate than calculation. June 5, 1944. Allied meteorologists detect clear signs of rapid weather improvement. The storm system accelerates its eastward movement. Pressure gradients indicate clearing conditions. Wind patterns suggest moderate weather by early June 6th. The weather window is opening exactly as Peterson predicted. Stagg briefs Eisenhower on the meteorological situation, emphasizing both the opportunity and the risk. Conditions will improve dramatically, but temporarily. The weather window will be brief, requiring precise timing and considerable courage. Delay means waiting weeks for the next favorable period. Eisenhower faces the most crucial decision of the war, based largely on weather forecasting. The invasion cannot succeed without favorable weather, but waiting for perfect conditions might mean waiting too long. The meteorological window offers opportunity, but guarantees nothing. German meteorologists observe the same atmospheric changes, but cannot predict their military implications with sufficient precision. Dr. Georgi notes the improving conditions in his reports, but emphasizes the uncertainty of long-range forecasting. Weather might improve temporarily, or might deteriorate again without warning. The German Weather Service lacks the resources and expertise to match Allied meteorological capabilities. German forecasters work with limited data, simplified models, inadequate observation networks. Their predictions are educated guesses rather than scientific calculations. More critically, German meteorologists don't understand the specific weather requirements for large-scale amphibious operations. They can forecast general conditions, but cannot assess whether those conditions favor or oppose invasion attempts. Military meteorology requires understanding both atmospheric science and military operations. June 5th evening. Eisenhower makes the decision to proceed with Operation Overlord, based largely on Stag's weather forecast. The decision represents enormous faith in meteorological science, considerable courage in the face of uncertainty, perfect timing in exploiting atmospheric conditions. German meteorologists continue to monitor weather conditions, but cannot predict the military significance of the changes they observe. The improving weather creates possibilities for Allied operations, but German forecasters lack the context to understand those possibilities. Dr. Stöbe notes the pressure changes, wind shifts, clearing trends in his evening report, but his analysis focuses on meteorological phenomena rather than military implications. German weather services operate independently of operational planning, reducing their strategic value. June 6, 0200 hours. Allied invasion forces begin crossing the English Channel under conditions that German meteorologists considered impossible 48 hours earlier. The weather window has opened exactly as Allied forecasters predicted, providing the narrow opportunity that Operation Overlord requires. German coastal observers report improved visibility, moderate winds, manageable sea conditions. The weather that should have prevented invasion for weeks has changed dramatically overnight. German defensive preparations, based on weather forecasts that predicted continued storms, prove inadequate for the actual conditions. Oberst Georgi receives reports of Allied invasion with meteorological shock. The weather conditions that his forecasts suggested would prevent major operations for weeks have improved precisely when Allied forces needed them most. The timing appears too perfect to be coincidental. How did Allied meteorologists predict this weather window? Georgi asks his staff. Our forecasts indicated continued poor conditions. How did they know the storm would pass so quickly? The questions reveal German understanding that Allied meteorological capabilities exceed German capabilities significantly. German weather forecasting, handicapped by limited resources and inadequate data, failed to predict the precise timing of weather changes that made D-Day possible. Allied meteorological services, with superior resources and better organization, achieved forecasting precision that proved strategically decisive. The meteorological failure represents broader German intelligence inadequacy. German services consistently underestimated Allied capabilities, overestimated German advantages, failed to understand Allied innovations in science and technology. Weather forecasting exemplifies these broader failures. Dr. Peterson's analysis of the storm system proved accurate within hours. The weather window opened when Allied meteorologists predicted, lasted as long as they estimated, closed when they calculated. Allied forecasting achieved precision that German meteorologists considered impossible. The success resulted from superior resources, better organization, more extensive data collection, advanced analytical methods. Allied meteorological services combined scientific expertise with military understanding, creating forecasting capabilities that exceeded German capabilities significantly. June 6th, afternoon. German meteorologists analyzed the weather conditions that enabled Allied invasion success. The analysis reveals the sophistication of Allied meteorological planning, the precision of Allied weather prediction, the integration of meteorological science with military operations. Allied forces exploited a weather window that lasted approximately 36 hours, exactly as their meteorologists predicted. The timing required perfect coordination between meteorological forecasting and military planning. The success demonstrated Allied organizational capabilities that German services couldn't match. What German meteorologists said when the British found the D-Day weather window was initially nothing. Said nothing officially, because acknowledging Allied meteorological superiority would require admitting German scientific inadequacy, German resource limitations, German organizational failures. But privately, in professional communications and personal records, German meteorologists recorded their observations. Dr. Georgi wrote, "Allied weather forecasting achieved precision that our services cannot match. They predicted conditions we considered unpredictable." Dr. Stöbe noted, "The timing of weather changes suggests Allied meteorologists understood atmospheric patterns we failed to recognize. Their forecasting capabilities exceed our capabilities significantly." Dr. Sönning observed, "Allied invasion timing demonstrates meteorological planning that integrates scientific analysis with military operations. They achieved coordination we haven't achieved. The observations were accurate but professionally uncomfortable." Acknowledging Allied scientific superiority would require questioning German assumptions about technological leadership, scientific advancement, organizational efficiency. Post-war analysis revealed the extent of Allied meteorological advantages. Allied weather services employed more meteorologists, operated more observation stations, collected more atmospheric data, used more sophisticated analytical methods than German services. More importantly, Allied meteorologists worked closely with military planners, understanding operational requirements, tailoring forecasts to military needs, integrating scientific analysis with strategic planning. German meteorologists operated independently, reducing their military value. The D-Day weather window represented triumph of scientific planning over military intuition. Allied success resulted from superior meteorological science applied to military problems. German failure resulted from inadequate scientific resources and poor integration between scientific and military services. Group Captain Stagg's forecast proved strategically decisive. His prediction of the narrow weather window enabled Operation Overlord to proceed when German meteorologists expected continued poor conditions. The forecast required scientific expertise, professional courage, perfect timing. Allied meteorological success at D-Day demonstrated broader Allied advantages in scientific warfare. Superior resources, better organization, closer integration between scientific and military services provided Allied forces with capabilities that German forces couldn't match. What German meteorologists said when they realized the British had found the D-Day weather window revealed their understanding that Allied scientific capabilities exceeded German scientific capabilities in critical areas. Allied meteorological services achieved precision that German services considered impossible. But acknowledging Allied superiority was professionally difficult, scientifically uncomfortable, politically unacceptable. So German meteorologists said little officially while privately recording observations that confirmed Allied scientific achievements. The silence spoke volumes about German inability to acknowledge enemy innovations, to learn from enemy successes, to adapt German methods to match enemy capabilities. German scientific pride couldn't accept Allied scientific superiority even when evidence was overwhelming. Britain found the D-Day weather window through superior meteorological science, better organizational integration, more extensive resource allocation to weather forecasting. The discovery enabled Allied invasion success and demonstrated Allied scientific capabilities that German services couldn't match. What German meteorologists said about Allied weather forecasting when they finally acknowledged the truth was that Allied science exceeded German science in areas that proved strategically decisive. But they said it too quietly, too late, too privately to change the outcome of operations that Allied meteorological superiority had already enabled. The weather window that made D-Day possible lasted exactly as long as Allied meteorologists predicted. German meteorologists, lacking the resources and expertise to match Allied forecasting precision, failed to predict the conditions that changed the course of World War II. Their failure exemplified broader German scientific inadequacies that contributed to German strategic defeat.